the ball forward. Mason somewhat isolated again. Cavalry is beginning to make his run. Mason looks up. There's the opportunity. There's the opening goal. Dan Klopp with the header. And Cavalry have the lead against their arch rivals Forge. Recipients, if he can get the delivery right. Plenty of pace on it. And there's the response. An immediate response. And Rubens Casillas, inside the first minute of the second half, has done what they pay him to do. Has ended all square as the two coaches, Bernie Skirniotis and Tommy Wilden Jr., exchange handshakes. We'll go to Hamilton all square. Cavalry 1, Forge 1.
Hello and welcome to this playoff edition of the Newsroom. Christian Jack alongside Charlie O'Connor-Clark. As ever, on today's show, we will recap both opening legs of the CPL semi-finals, where we will hear from all four coaches, many of the players, and of course, as usual, we have the return of World Cup stickers. Charlie's ready. Benedict's got 15 packs. Charlie's got about 3. And we'll get Mitchell and AGR on the show later as well to bring their stickers and put together their teams. If you're watching live, you have just seen from our opening, we will start the show with what took place in Calgary, Alberta on Saturday afternoon, where it was a tale of two headers. We'll hear from one of our correspondents, Benedict Rhodes, on this shortly, but let's hear from the man himself who was there. Charlie, good evening. I know I'm keeping you away from you watching your Leafs right now, so apologize, but they are playing Arizona, so I think we're okay.
I'm much happier doing this than last I checked they were losing, so I'm so much happier here.
That cannot happen against them, but anyway, more hockey talk if you put it in the chat, otherwise we'll move on. Charlie, what were your overall takeaways from visiting Atco Field at Spruce Meadows in that 1-1 game we saw there? What did you take away from it?
Yeah, it was a really good, kind of felt like that sort of playoff vibe between these two teams, two sides that have seen a lot of each other this year and over the past few years, two managers that are very familiar with playing one another, especially in these kinds of playoff games where the margins are fine, the details matter so much. So they were trying to throw some different tactical things at one another, as they often do when they play against each other. And it was a pretty back and forth game. I think both sides had a couple chances. There maybe weren't a lot of massive clear-cut chances for either side in this game. It was a little bit kind of congested through the middle in this game for a lot of it, but again, it was a great atmosphere in Calgary. I hadn't actually been to Atco Field before, so that was a lot of fun seeing that kind of atmosphere there for a playoff game. Hi, Ryan. But it was a really, really good kind of opening taste to this playoff game between two sides that, clearly have, a lot of familiarity. Cavalry sort of went with a bit of a different lineup from usual. Roberto Alarcon playing on the right wing with kind of Dan Klumpen behind him. The left wing was Mickey Kentavi, and then Jose Escalante playing the left back. So Tommy Wilden Jr. threw some curveballs at this one as they sort of tried to maybe plug up the midfield, because Forge loves playing in that midfield. They tried to get the balls wide and play in transition a little bit more than they usually do. And it worked a little bit. It worked in the first half, certainly, to score a goal. But again, I think probably 1-1 is a fair result from this game. I think I don't think either side really did enough to put the other one down too much and come away with this with any more than the draw.
Yeah, I agree with that. I watched the first half live, then had to get to Starlight Stadium as that my task was the other game, which we'll get to later. Later, watch the second half. Tenacious, quite emotional, a bit of scuffles as well in the second half, but not too many clear-cut chances. I think Cavalry would be very disappointed to take the lead at home and concede an equalizer from a set piece, which is what they've been so good at this year. They've been so good on the offensive side of that, scored more set piece goals than any team in the league, and then we're able to be on the wrong end of that. So, like I said, a difficult one for them, but sets it up a great second leg in Hamilton on Sunday if you're thinking about go, because it's going to be fantastic. Get your tickets at Tim Hortons Field at 5:00 Eastern for the best rivalry in the league. It has to be said, and it'll carry on in that second leg. A reminder, if it's tied after 90 minutes, go straight to penalties. There are no away goals as a tiebreaker in the Canadian Premier League semi-finals this year. Any chats, any conversations or any topics, put in the chat. We'll get to most of them, unless you want to talk about something like country music, which is what Ryan wants Charlie to talk about. Of course, Charlie likes country music because Charlie loves music anyway. So there you go. Let's bring in our man Benedict Rhodes, who brings his World Cup stickers and his insight. He was also a correspondent on this game. Benny, let's roll the highlights and give us some thoughts on what you were thinking as you covered this one as well.
Yeah, like you said, it was a very tenacious is a good word for it. The first half was, Forge came out very, very strong. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see here they had some very good chances in the first couple minutes, including Janssen hitting the crossbar here, and they came out strong, but then Cavalry kind of slowly but surely built into the game as we kind of expected them to, and then they had a couple good chances of their own, and sort of it was pretty evenly matched, I'd say, until Dan Klomp got his head on the ball and Cavalry took the lead, and I think that was probably the worst time Forge could have conceded a goal, or any team could concede goals right before halftime. And but they responded well. They came out and they scored immediately after, and these two teams kind of battled for the rest of this game. And I think if you're looking ahead to a second, like these two teams with everything to play for with no away goals, it's basically a one game elimination match, I guess, to go to the final. So I think that's a very exciting prospect for CPL fans.
Yeah, it's a great point. You see Klomp there with the header. That was a pretty unusual goal. It was a little bit of a transition. It certainly was not a set piece header like we saw here from Rubens Passius, which is a great delivery and by Cal Becker at a crucial time. We're going to get more into this in a second as we watch the second half highlights play out and Forge getting that absolutely vital equalizer. I want to get more into Forge in a second, but let's stay with Cavalry for a second, Charlie. And before we hear from reaction, we're going to hear from some of the players as well as the coach in a second. After this goal went in, were you left a little bit underwhelmed by what Cavalry were able to come up with after that in the second half, seeing that they were the home team, or was it a case of a team playing almost knowing that it was a case of two legs?
It was a strange one, maybe a little bit more the latter there than the former, although I think Cavalry definitely were less happy to come out with a draw than Forge were, undoubtedly, obviously being the home team and everything. I did think on the whole in this game, it's maybe a weird thing to say, but I felt like more went to plan for Cavalry than it did for Forge, because it seemed like they wanted to give up a little bit of the ball. They, several of their players, and I think Tommy Wilden Jr. mentioned specifically that they wanted to hit Forge in transition. They knew that, for example, when Alex Ashiniote Janssen steps up into midfield, they felt like there was a gap there that they could exploit if they could win the ball. And, they scored the goal by winning the ball in that kind of situation, playing it quickly to Joe Mason and then playing the cross in. I think maybe what didn't happen in the second half was winning the ball quickly enough and getting upfield like that, because a lot of the time Forge kind of anticipated a little bit more, maybe started to adjust to that sort of tactic a little bit better. They started getting back more. And then the last maybe 10 minutes of this game, obviously, as you would probably expect from a team at home in a playoff game, all Cavalry with the ball. They're mostly in the attacking third, but on kind of the edges of it, kind of next to the box, specifically that right side. I can remember, I think Ben Fisk came into the game and Gote and Tinyi came into the game, and they are kind of trying to play these little quick passes into the box that just never really found the right spot, never set up for somebody to really shoot. So all this pressure, all this possession never really turned into opportunities to actually send the ball at the net, to take these kind of shots. The only one I can really think of is the ball sort of falling for Joe DiChiara in the box, and he skies it because he's, God love him, he's not a great finisher at the moment. But I think Cavalry probably a little bit disappointed that they didn't maybe find another one of those chances, especially after conceding. And we know, as you mentioned, Christian, how much it hurts Tommy Wheeldon Jr. to concede from a set piece, especially right after halftime when they have a lead. That's, very uncharacteristic of them. So I think I was a little surprised that next moment didn't quite come for them.
Yeah, that will be certainly something they'll be disappointed in. Although Tommy Wilderness Jr. after the game was his usual, positive self, and he caught up with Charlie on the pitch. Here's what he had to say after this game.
The way that you score your goal, kind of a transition, a long ball up to Joe, and then a great cross into Dan Klomp making a really good run. That's got to be maybe something that you talked about as a way that you could hit Forge in transition?
Absolutely. Their strength is also their weakness, right? When they're very gung-ho in going forward, they leave gaps, and we knew that if we'd win the ball, they would leave some gaps and we could exploit it with our pace. And I think we had one or two other moments to do that and didn't capitalise. But what a great pass from Ali Musi to recognise Joe Mason's movement. I know Ollie Platt had talked about it before, and those two see each other and feel each other, and then Joe's done great. He paused, played, waited for Klompy to get in there, and great delivery, terrific header.
Love that in many ways. Also, Tommy giving Ollie Platt a little bit of love after his tactical talk about on pre-game with Ali Musi getting together with Joe Mason, the big combination in a lot of these games, and Tommy certainly realised that as well. With more, here is midfielder Elijah Adekubi on the pitch with Charlie.
Elijah, 1-1, 90 minutes out of 180. What do you think of this first leg?
It was intense. I think everyone's seen that. The atmosphere was crazy, and I think two teams went to war today. I think we had some chances that we could have capitalized on a little bit more. I think we also probably allowed them to be a little bit too comfortable at home. We could have applied a little bit more pressure, but that's what they like to do. And ultimately, we've got another 90 minutes next week, and we're going to go to war again.
Pretty good battle in midfield with yourself, Elliot, Ali against their three. What did you see out there from kind of your position?
I mean, for me, what they do well is they like to overload the midfield, so Borges comes in a little bit, and they almost play with the four in there. So for us, it's almost a case of just dealing with that. And then when we have the ball, I think we all have our own qualities. We want to get on the ball and get the team up the pitch. And we know the midfield is the heartbeat of their team, and we also have a good midfield. So when two good midfields go against each other, it's always going to be tight. But ultimately, it was a stalemate today.
Lots of love for Cavalry, more love for Charlie in the chat from the likes of Thomas, Ryan, Otto, all loving the hair. More importantly, Charlie, what was it like doing the interview in front of the noise there, the loud crowd? That was fun.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. As I said, I'd never been to Spruce Meadows before. I didn't realize that it's actually, I think, even louder there than it comes through on television, on the broadcast.
Definitely agree with that.
Especially with the roof on the stand on one end, and then just the foot soldiers being so close right over the pitch. It's got to be intimidating for an away player. And you could just feel in those last 5 minutes of stoppage time when Cavalry are playing towards that end, and they're just buzzing around the penalty area. You could feel how much that place was going to explode if they'd scored a goal, if they'd managed to find that winner. But again, the atmosphere was phenomenal. There's smoke and everything when they scored. It was just a real proper kind of football cup atmosphere. It was great.
Benedict, before we get on to hearing from Dan Klomp, do you think, or did you see enough from Cavalry that fills you with confidence that they can get the job done this weekend?
I think so. I think the game was pretty evenly matched, but I'd probably just give Cavalry the edge. I think, like Charlie said, they probably did more of what they wanted and got more out of the game than they wanted than Forge did. And I think, Cavalry, they're a team who always has a chance in any game for the most part. And they won't be scared of playing Tim Hortons Field. They won't be, hesitant to go and try to win that game. And I think that'll serve them well. And of course, Forge will do the same thing in their home stadium. But I do think Cavalry will definitely have a chance to make it to that final.
Just remarkably close, all these games they've played this season. 5 games now, all decided by 1 goal or less. Just remarkable to see how close they are. It's going to be a battle, no doubt about it. All right, you guys get your stickers out. Let's rip a pack. And while we get you to rip a pack, we'll listen to what the goal-scoring hero man himself is, Dan Klomp.
Well, if you look at the match, then I don't think we started that great in the first 5 minutes. I think they had the upper hand, giving away a couple big chances, but making the 1-0 feels very good just before half-time. And then the way we start the second half is not like justifiable. It's very, very hard to make them score the 1-1 1 minute in the second half. So I feel like it's okay going there with a draw. I feel confident going into the next game, though.
Really happy for Dan for the goal. Just a great header too. A lot about the ball was discussed by Mason and also Musi, but the ball and the header down to prevent Tristan Henry from reacting to save it was a good one as well. Boys, you rip your packs. Who have you got here? Let's have a look. We're going to go full screen with Charlie first. Let's do that. Charlie, you got your 5 guys here? What?
Oh, I do. This is pretty good.
Nice.
Definitely the best pack I've ripped on this show before.
Charlie's happy with stickers. Breaking news.
I've got Uruguayan midfielder from Lazio, Matias Vecino.
Nice.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll put him last for dramatic effect. I've got Luke Shaw.
Okay. There you go.
This is all right, and it's okay. Ilkay Gundogan.
This is good. That's
a
really
class
good
player.
Yeah.
Virgil van Dijk.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. And then my personal favorite from this pack, legend, the Polish Cafu, Matty Cash.
Get in, mate. About time we had something to smile about.
Best pack I've opened by far.
Yeah, we haven't had much to smile about being Villa fans at the moment. And as of taping, our manager is still in charge. So maybe that'll change in the morning.
For now.
But Benedict, you usually win these sticker pack battles. According to some, you cheat. I don't know if that's true. But whether you're cheating or not, let's find out your 5.
You can believe it to be true if you like.
Okay.
I got a Germany badge. Can't claim any German
doesn't
players.
Help you in a 5-a-side game. No.
Same with the 11 Brazilian team from
Yeah, you
1970.
may have to open another pack here.
No, I'm gonna do it in 2 packs this time, so
Yeah.
it can be used as cheating.
Okay.
Lucas Paqueta,
Okay, that's
He's a
pretty
player.
good. Yeah.
Gideon Mensah from Ghana,
Okay.
and Andrea Zivkovic from Serbia.
There you go. All right. Well, Charlie's in the lead for sure. We got
Winning
Mitchell and
this one
AGR
for
to open
sure.
later. And while you guys open another one, let's get some Forge from the Hamilton side. Forge reaction in this one. Let's go to let's listen to Wubens Passius, who joined Charlie on the pitch after this one.
Wubens, I know that you kind of went through a bit of a drier spell there. It's got to be a really good time for you to get back on the board.
Yeah. It's really nice to score, especially for strikers. And like I said, it's difficult to be in this season, score a lot of goals and go through that stretch without a goal. So I feel like today the team needed that goal, and it's feeling really good.
Came at a great time for you guys as well. You concede right before halftime. You come out after halftime and equalize. What was kind of the mood in the dressing room at halftime? What did Bobby say to you guys to get you guys to come back out so strong?
Everyone was focused. We knew that we were able to go get that goal to tie the game, and that's what we did at the beginning of the second half. And everyone was focused, had the good mentality, and I think it shows during the second half.
Great interview. Great job, Charlie. Before we get your sticker packs, a couple of things. Yeah, Mateus Cash, love that. Wubens had gone 10 games without scoring a goal to end the regular season. His last goal was at the beginning of August. He still got double-digit goals. He's a nominee for Under-21 Player of the Year. He had a really good 2022, but 10 games without a goal. You could see it was a real burden. You could see the relief, Charlie, when he got that goal. And that could be massive now for this team going forward. No, because he's going to get the nod again as a 9. You saw that Hamilton wasn't involved. Campbell got very few minutes. He's going to start next week. And now a goal, usually comes with other goals. That's the momentum that the Forge needed in this one.
Right. That's the thing. I don't think there could have been a better time for Wubens to break that drought. And as we've seen with him before, when he gets into a groove, he is absolutely deadly. And he does not score one goal and then go another long period without scoring again. Right. He scores in absolute torrents. So that's very good news for Forge. I don't think there's a player that they needed to get going more than Wubens Passius at this moment. And if he is, able to kind of get that confidence back and he goes into that home leg remembering what it feels like to score and having that confidence within him, I think that there could be very good things in Forge's future. Because again, Forge are always a team that's going to have a lot of the ball. They're always going to get into the attacking third. It's just having that focal point that sometimes isn't quite there. But if that can be Passius, they're a very, very dangerous team in that attacking third. So I think that's something that Cavalry will probably be talking about this week. They're thinking if he is back in form, we need to be extra careful with marking him and not losing him in the box.
That's the positive. I think the negative is, again, only one goal, although the close games come in the playoffs. We know that. But they did end the season really struggling to score goals as well. Bobby Smitty also referred to them as brilliant in the first half. Was that true? And did they really look a little bit back to their best, Benedict? Or do you still think there's a few signs for growth and concern maybe heading into the second leg?
I think they started the half brilliantly and they didn't end it brilliantly. Obviously, with conceding the goal, but I think they kind of lost some momentum as the half went on. I think that is the progression they need to do. They need to have that full 90-minute match, where from minute 1 to minute 90, they're in it the whole time. And defensively, we know they're sound. Offensively, like you said, they didn't finish the season on the best note, and that's going to be the challenge, I guess, when you get back home is to build on Passius' confidence, build on Becker. Getting the free kick in there and build on this and find more goals in that second leg.
It has to be said, Kyle Becker was missing for a large stretch of the end of the season because he missed the 3-game suspension. Had been taken off a couple of times as well in key moments of the game. Didn't play the full 90 as he got his fitness level back up. But in big games, in any sport, big players step up in big moments, Charlie. And that free kick delivered was one of those where you look at it at first and I'm thinking, should Carducci have come for that? It was so close. But the way the ball was delivered in, and there was 2 defenders, I think Escalante was one, and I forget who the other one was. They probably, as a goalkeeper, you can't blame him. You think they're going to be dealt with. But the way that the free kick was sent in at a crucial time says, again, a lot about Becker.
Yeah, it does. And Forge have had a few different kinds of ways that they deal with set pieces this year. Even in this game alone, I think in the first half they had a number of corners. Some of them they whipped in, some of them Becker and Borges did the little double routine that they like to do where they try and get some movement in the box. This one, obviously it's a free kick, not a corner, but basically a corner from the same
Yeah.
sort of area. Becker just whips it in really low across the 6-yard box. And I think Cavalry maybe weren't expecting something quite that simple from Forge, but it does. It comes right over. I think it's Mason Trafford's head, just barely skims over him, and it's right there for Pasillas, who makes the right run, and he manages to get himself just that little bit of separation to get his head on the ball. So again, it's a well done set piece, a really good goal, fantastic delivery, but also one that Cavalry will be pretty annoyed with.
Yeah, crucial time for them to score as well right after halftime. All right, before we reveal the stickers to find out what Benny and Charlie got, let's go back for more reaction and hear from Forge FC head coach Bobby Sminiotis.
You go into halftime down a goal, almost immediately after you guys come back out here, you strike back and you equalize. That's got to be gratifying as a coach.
Yeah, 100%. We talked about it at halftime. We've been here earlier in the year. We've gone down in all 3 matches we've played here, and we've been able to spin a goal back. And we just gave them the same message, because the first half was brilliant, I thought, with our team. And we had one letdown on that goal that we'll obviously go back and look at. But I thought it was very positive, and that was the message in the locker room. Just keep at it. Keep doing what we're doing. Make sure we're on the front foot, and the goal's going to come.
And to score from a set piece, that's always nice, because it's something that you work on the training pitch. It's a great delivery in, and you got to be happy with that one.
Yeah, it's something we obviously work on, and it's the moments in the game. Those moments can change games, and in playoff games, I think they're very important, because that alleviates a lot of things. It's an early goal in the second half, and I think it settles us down for the rest of the half.
Bobby mentioned it there, 5 points from losing positions this year against Cavalry alone for the Hamilton-based team. So, including a win, when Joe Mason scored in the first minute, and then they went and got 2 more on that same pitch. All right, Charlie, let's see. Your all-star team, is it packed? You got better players? What are you looking at for your second?
Well, my second pack is just kind of pathetic, to be honest. Okay. So it's a good thing the first one was so good. That's this is no disrespect to these very talented footballers that I've pulled, but I've got Jibril Sow of I think Eintracht Frankfurt, in Switzerland. Yeah. Martin Hongla from Cameroon.
Okay.
Can't really see that. There we go.
Have you got your sticker book yet? By the way, put these in. Have you not
I
got
have.
one yet?
I have got a sticker book. Okay. I've got a bunch of swaps. Lots of Belgians for some reason.
Well, I got a bunch of swaps I'll bring into your office tomorrow. So.
All right. We'll talk about it. I've got Ryan Grant here.
Nice.
Who I think plays in the A League.
Probably not going to make the 5-a-side team, is he?
I don't think so, and I don't think either of these badges are going to make it either Qatar or Japan.
2 badges in the same pack.
2 badges in the same pack. So not a great one. So I think my 5-a-side might be the 5 players I pulled the first time. But
interesting. Anybody want Charlie to open another one? Let us know in the chat, because you got 2 badges. That's not very fair. Benedict, you got another pack? What are you looking at?
You have I have a Polish player as well, Jakub Moder.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
A Swiss player, Sylvain Widmer.
Okay.
Oscar Duarte from Costa Rica. Saw a lot in World Cup qualifying.
Solid.
All right.
Eder Militao from Brazil, good player.
Yeah.
And got a Canadian to finish it off with Kamal Miller.
Nice. Let's go. There we go. Congratulations to Kamal Miller and the CF Montreal team, by the way, on Sunday.
Yeah.
What about that performance? 6, that's right, 6 Canadians in the team. Not only brush aside Orlando City, but dominated them.
0 Americans in the Orlando lineup, if I remember correctly, as well.
Is that right? Oh, there you go. So that says everything about the way they put their team together. But yeah, dominated them aside, and Ismail Kone with a brilliant goal as well. And Mihalovic finished it off with a penalty. Just watching that when I got home after yesterday's trip home, that was terrific to watch, and was certainly cheering them on, because let's be honest, CF Montreal doing well carries on into the World Cup, right? When you've got 6 players, John Herdman at home is thinking, can we just get more of these players playing as long as possible until the World Cup? That would certainly help. So
healthy though.
Yeah, that's true. Keep him healthy as well. But yeah, that was fun. All right, let's before we say bye to Benedict, and he goes and picks his 5-a-side team from his just 2 packs this week. Let's put up the schedule board and remind you of what's going on for next weekend before we get into the next game. These are the 2 semifinals that head next week, and that's right, they flip. We are in Ottawa at 2:00 Eastern for the second leg of the game that went second last week, as Atletico Ottawa take a 2-0 lead into the Pacific game, and we'll certainly talk about that coming up very, very soon. And then, of course, Forge against Cavalry at 5 o'clock Eastern, live on Sunday from Tim Hortons Field, where the battle will be to see who gets the final between those two rivals. That certainly will be fantastic to watch as well. All right, Benedict, we appreciate you. We've let you go. And before we bring in Mitchell and AGR for this one, we go back to Pacific and we roll the hype video for what was a tremendous game certainly for the visitors.
For Tabla, out comes Irving, it's a wide open goal against everything. Atletico Ottawa has scored an away goal. You mean they're not done asking questions? Shot for Tabla. Defended by Diggs, slid across Baus. Zachary Baus in his face. Zach Verhoeven takes a deflection. It's in! A second! Atletico Ottawa have doubled up, and it's the former Pacific man who's involved. Zach Verhoeven takes the care of him. Atletico Ottawa are going to head back to the capital up by 2 goals.
Atletico Ottawa double their lead late, and we double our guests as Mitchell Tierney and AGR join us. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thanks for both joining us. That was fantastic as well to have you both here. Before we get into some more reaction, let's find out your thoughts. You were both on this. AGR was in the stadium with me. Mitchell, you're our correspondent all over this as well, talking to our guys. I'll start with you, Mitchell, as we roll the highlights in here as well to just get a proper good look at it. But how did you feel about this, putting the match report together? And be honest, were you starting to think, like many of us, that this was going to end 0-0?
Yeah, I was, because honestly, I think it was a defensive masterclass from both sides for different reasons. First and foremost, Ottawa doing what Ottawa does absolutely best, which is being willing to give up the territorial advantage, being willing to give up, some of those possession stats as well. But at the same time, stopping exactly what Pacific wanted to do at their best. They allowed them almost no transitional moments, and they didn't allow them to play the ball on the ground into dangerous areas. Sure, they could have the air, but they didn't have Gennaro Daniels or any other player in there who was really going to get on the end of any of those crosses. So they recognized that coming in, and with Cam Habibullah leading the line, that was their main thing. I thought Pacific did a great job before the end of the game as well of really cutting out those same transitional opportunities for Ottawa. They worked really hard at stopping that first pass, the one that is so dangerous from Ottawa, breaking lines, that sort of thing. They had 6 interceptions in the final third to cut out those passes, and guys like Habibullah were quick to, should they lose the ball, try to make sure that, it wasn't going to end up going the other way quickly. But eventually, as Ottawa always seems to, they found their moments.
Yeah, they did find their moments. As you said, it's almost a trademark of the way they play this year. AGR, what did you think in the stadium, particularly when Balu got that goal? I think, with no doubt, everybody in the stadium would admit it, including Callum himself, just a mistake by the goalkeeper. But is it fair to say that probably comes because of the lack of action for him? Like, it almost felt like he wanted to come and do something, because anyone didn't see it, to understate this, like he barely had anything to do in terms of that second half, and then you almost feel like he came out wanting to do something when he had that moment. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and this game was so complex on many reasons, which is why I loved it. It really, I think terms like chess match, tactical battle gets thrown out around a lot, but I think it genuinely was. It was one of those where you had two styles, and it came down to game theory. It came down to who could get those moments. And I think the moment that was maybe a bit understated on the goal, because all the attention that Irving got, was the pass from Ali Bassett. Like, if you have a chance, watch it again. Because that's what I noticed in the stadium, is that as soon as Ali Bassett played that ball, it looked like it was going to fly into Callum Irving's box. And I think that's kind of what happened there. He's a guy who likes to be aggressive off his line. He's like, okay, this is something I can sweep up and give my team maybe an edge. And then the ball just died. It was remarkable. It's something you see on grass, but the backspin that Ali Bassett put on it just died. And all of a sudden, Irving's caught in no man's land, and you have Balu Tabla storming down on you. And that's the rest of the theory. And I think that's kind of was fitting. That was the kind of goal that, broke open the game, because it was so tight fought. It was so defensively sound that it felt like one moment of brilliance was going to break it open. And we saw close flashes of it. I mean, that Jordan Brown turn and finish could have very well been that moment, but Nathan Ingham, as he did all game, stood up strong, and in the end it was Ollie Bassett's right foot. I found that much as he did all season for Ottawa, that broke things open at the right moment for his team.
Yeah, Nathan Ingham was tremendous. We'll hear from him again later in the show. But first, some reaction from the home team. It was a special day, no doubt, heading into that day. The first ever playoff game at home for the champions. Hard to say when they've already won it away from home. Hard to say when they've had great nights in the Champions League and also the Canadian Championship with big wins over the Whitecaps. But this was their first ever home playoff game. And their first ever employee is now their current head coach. A big special day indeed for James Merriman. But it did not end the way he would want it. Here's his reaction at Starlight Stadium after this one.
What was the overall mood when you got together in the huddle after the game?
Disappointment, frustration. We spoke about how Ottawa was going to play all week long. We knew what we needed to do in terms of the final third and the final act and the creativity and the change of speed to create chances when they were going to defend in lower areas. And I thought we lacked a little bit of that. So that's what you felt in the huddle. Everybody's frustrated. For sure.
You went with Cam Habibullah, who seemed to get on the ball quite a lot. What was it that was missing a little bit in that final third? Was it more of just a personnel thing or a tactical thing, adjustment? What needed to be done?
I thought Cam did an excellent job. He kept the ball in great areas. He allowed us to get up higher. It's the next movement. It's the next. Who's going to get in behind? Is it Josh, Kunle, Bustos? Is it Manu? Is it Sean? That's where that final act, that last act needs to come. I didn't think we were aggressive enough with it or direct or ruthless enough in those spaces. Even there's a lot of good crosses and good opportunities where we're not attacking the ball. You don't do that, you don't score, we can't win a game.
All right, let's get into this, fellas. I want all your opinions on this because you're all great tactical minds. And sometimes we get talked about tactics and sometimes it's personnel. And I think what we heard from James was that there was nothing wrong in his opinion. I'd want to know your thoughts. In his opinion with the setup, he still felt after going with what was a bit of a brave and a bit of a lineup choice that many people thought was out of, a left field. Habibullah had only started 6 games. He felt it worked tactically, but they didn't do what they needed to do beyond that. Mitch, I'll start with you. Do you think James was right? And was he late to change it? Or do you think there was something else that could have been done differently to ignite this attack?
Well, worth mentioning that he was, start for options a little bit. Gennaro Daniels and Johnny Dos Santos both missing the game through injury. So that is worth mentioning as well. I thought for large parts it did actually work. Like he said, Cam Habibullah was very solid in doing his role and them playing it into him. But again, they got the balls into those dangerous areas out wide, but Ottawa's just so good at defending those inside channels, and no one really made those runs. And even, when they're playing those crosses in, no one's attacking those Ottawa defenders. They can just knock them out back to safety. And there was too many of those opportunities where guys were maybe waiting a little further back and not just charging the box. So I think that Habibullah thing worked out, but maybe some of the other areas, some of the players running onto, like you said, it just wasn't there for them.
AJ, you were in the press box. I was on the sidelines just acting like a second cameraman for our main man, Kenny Edwards. But there was one time when Josh Hurd came right by me in the first half and looked up, went across the ball and just passed it back inside and put his hand up. In other words, like, there's literally nobody in the box I can't cross this ball into right now. That was just an observation of mine. What did you think of the tactics and maybe the formation?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I feel like tactically, it can be a two-sum game at some times. I feel like the approach that one team does, it also doesn't necessarily take away from the approach of the other. And I think, of course, credit has to be given to Ottawa for their tactical approach. Yeah. But I think if you're Pacific, there are a lot of figures as well that you can be happy with. I mean, the XG was pretty much bang on. Like the fact that it was a 2-0 game and you look at the XG, the chances created, it was very equal. The only difference is Ottawa's game plan can stomach that. They're okay with absorbing pressure and they don't need high XG chances to score. So then we start to get into the semantics of it. So I think for Pacific, I can agree with them in the sense that, okay, they did play some nice soccer. They had some good passages of possession. They were getting the ball in the good areas. But what I also could say on their end is they lacked a final act. And I think that's where James Merriman was bang on in his press conference where he was saying they lacked that final act. That was very true. I mean, the Josh Hurd is a great example. There was several other occasions where they just whipped in a cross and you'd almost wonder, like, what if they had an Alejandro Diaz in that box? What if they had some sort of focal point number 9 who could at least disrupt, who could at least do something in the box? So I think it was tough for Merriman. Yeah, no options. No Daniels certainly could have helped. But at the same time, you do wonder. For example, I feel like someone like Sean Young maybe could have been a bit more disruptive in the box. I know obviously that was something that was asked of him, was to sit a little deeper and attack the edge of the box. But I do wonder if Merriman maybe could have tweaked it so that Sean Young could at least just barrel in because he's so big and maybe leave some space at the edge of the box. But at the end of the day, I think Pacific was right in their summation that their plan was right up until that final act, that final ball, that final finish.
Yeah, you bring up Diaz there, who obviously still continues to play well in Norway. A big conversation in the chat from Thomas. Mitchell and AGR, you can open your World Cup pack while I ask Charlie this one. Charlie, one of the CPL's biggest what ifs will be if Alejandro Diaz never left, stayed for CONCACAF and this. Any thoughts on that, Charlie? Well, obviously, a massive difference, right? Like, no disrespect to Cam Habibula, but that's just an enormous piece if he's playing for James Merriman right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if Alejandro Diaz is in that lineup and Pacific do the exact same thing, they probably score at least once, probably twice, maybe 3 times. If you just look at kind of the way that this game went down, I mean, Pacific had 73 entries into the final third and 19 touches in the box. Right, only 5 of those in the first half as well. So I do think that to an extent they maybe could have changed things up a little bit earlier in this game, because it clearly wasn't working with the crosses they were whipping into the box. You know, when you are trying to get down to those low areas next to the box and just send it in to the 6-yard area, when you're playing a team that's going to sit back like Ottawa were in first stretch of this game, it's a little bit easier for them to defend, especially they've got center backs that are good in the air. Diego Espejo, especially, able to really clean up most of that. But Pacific's wingers are very good with their feet. So I think you maybe would have wanted to see a little bit more movement, kind of trying to stretch out the lines, play cutbacks into the box, try and like keep the ball on the ground a little bit more, to try and play through them a little bit more. Because, you know, clearly, I think there's a point in this game where you could see that Pacific were really missing that sort of focal point in the middle. If they were going to send these crosses into, it seemed like a lot of them, you know, in theory you're looking for Habibula, but he's not necessarily the profile of player that is, you know, that's not really who he is as a player, right? And he's obviously asked to do the job and maybe he is able to do it, but it's not, you know, necessarily what he shines at. It's not what he's done in his career. So I think that there were definitely other ways that Pacific maybe might have tried to break down this Ottawa team, but, you know, again, if just one of those finds Habibula's head, then maybe we're talking differently, because again, they did get to the right areas and they did have some sustained pressure that, you know, in most circumstances, generally you're able to find at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, all great points. And I think the combination of all of you are spot on. But the only caveat to any of that, I would say, is that Diaz scores a lot of one-touch goals. You know, it's not like he's a build-up merchant himself. He did play 18 games this season, and Ottawa finished with an XG of 30, 7th in the league. Only Edmonton was less. Sorry, Pacific finished with an XG of 30. Only Edmonton was less, even when he played 18 games. So there is something clearly that still lacks when Diaz was there, and that was obviously now magnified when he's not. I just would have loved to see Diaz up against Espejo and Camus. I think that would have been an all-star kind of caliber game. Like, see what he could have got there, because we're going to get onto the 2 Spaniards in a minute. Let's find out what you guys got in your opening packs before we hear from some more reaction from Starlight Stadium. Mitchell, who you got? Any more Leicester players this week or what?
No, I've been stitched up a little bit here. I also got 2 teams. We got Saudi Arabia and we got Senegal as well.
Okay, that's not going to help you, is it?
No, not going to help at all. We do have a goalkeeper, Gregor Kobel of Switzerland. So
okay,
that's and then Anis Slimane of Tunisia.
Yeah.
And some quality to end it though. Pedri, a great player. So that'll be good for my team.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah. One of the many things I love about Mitchell is that he does not hide his emotions. You can just tell around his face. He's just absolutely gutted.
Awful at poker. Awful.
I feel so sorry for you. You got to open another pack right now. I feel like my son on Christmas morning not getting a present he wants or something. Poor Mitch. AGR, can we see if you've got anything better?
Yeah, I'm opening it blind, so I have no idea. But to start, I got Argentina. Okay. Kind of cool, I guess.
That's cool.
But
it's cool for your album, just not for a 5-a-side game. Yeah.
I got Peter Zielinski. That's a good little midfielder on the darlings of Europe right now, Napoli. So I can't
polls, all the polls tonight.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We got Boulaye Dia, great number 9 from Senegal. I can't complain with that. We got Portuguese Gonçalo Guedes from the Premier League, decent little winger there, and then double teams for both of us because I got Cameroon as well to add to Argentina. So great for my album, not much for the team.
All right, you guys go open go open another pack, and in the meantime, we'll go back to Starlight Stadium and hear from defender Nate Mavilla on their chances going into the second leg.
Football changes very quickly, I think with that experience, we can definitely turn it around. With our quality, we can definitely turn it around. With the personnel, with the depth of the squad, we can definitely turn around. Look at, for example, Habibullah. He didn't get much opportunity this season. Came straight in up top as a false nine, unreal. So I'm sure with our squad and with our depth and with everyone that's playing, we can definitely turn it around. We've got it in us. It's just hard work, and I'm sure we can do it.
Anyone who knows Nate knows he's one of the most positive guys around. He's just full of energy, and you can see. I believe him. Listen to him. But do we all believe him? Let's get into the size of their task here. Is miracle a strong enough? Is that too strong, Charlie? Am I allowed to say it would be a miracle if they pull this off against the champs at home, a team that doesn't concede goals? Very difficult. Got to go there and win at least two by 2. And then win on penalties or score by 3. Miracle's a strong word, but I think it might be a miracle.
It would be certainly the closest thing we've seen to one in the Canadian Premier League, I think.
Benedict in the private chat said their task is massive. Is that fair?
It is. It is. I think everybody can see just how difficult it's been for teams to go to Ottawa and score twice. But I will say, the maybe silver lining or the glimmer of hope here for Pacific is that the last team to go to Ottawa did score twice to overturn a 2-0 deficit in like the last 20 minutes of a game.
That's right.
So it's possible. It is. Yeah. That's York United, of course. So it is possible. It has been done.
And it has to be said, sorry, Ottawa fans, Valor got 6 and Forge got 4 this year. It's been done.
Yeah.
So
we have been able to do it.
We know how good you've been, but there has been those aberrations. So we'll find out about that. AGR, what do you think? And maybe you can take this a little bit into what do you think about the way Ottawa defended on Saturday as well, because it goes hand in hand. No, I mean, we know Espejo suspended. Becky comes in. That's a pretty good replacement, likely. They were deep and defensive without having a lead in the tie. What do we expect them to be on Saturday? And do they have to find a balance this Sunday to try and make sure they not get too deep again?
I think it's going to be for Ottawa. I mean, obviously all the advantages play in their favor, and I think it'll kind of benefit them if they're going to defend the same way, because I think they kind of know that they can almost dare Pacific, be like, hey, you guys you've lost Diaz. You don't necessarily have that proper number 9. Even if Gennaro Daniels is in there, we haven't, maybe seen enough from him to suggest he could be the solution in that regard. So they could just sit there and dare them, be like, hey, do what you did in the first leg. If you have any new ideas, go for it. And then from there, that allows Balou Tabla to really, thrive in transition as he did. Maybe we see a start from Malcolm Shaw, who I thought, when he came in, the game kind of shifted momentum, as well as Zachary Bahous, and let those 3 just kind of do their thing in transition. And then from there, the task is pretty straightforward. So it's obviously going to be very tough for Pacific, because it's just the matter of, Ottawa going to be set. And they know what the result they need. They know they want to, fuel the home crowd. And then from there, it's can Pacific break this down? Because the thing is with Pacific, this has been a bit of a theme all season. They've almost been a better team when they're in the team that's in transition and attacking with some of their pieces. So it's been, a thing we've seen from them struggling to maybe break down low blocks. So because of those things, I think Ottawa will 100% have an edge, and they'll have to dare Pacific to do it. And if you're Pacific, you're going to have to get creative. Maybe you try playing Manny Aparicio as a false 9. Maybe you try sticking Sean Young in the box like I suggested earlier. Maybe you try going to back 3 and just let the wing backs, push a little more forward, knowing that, okay, Ottawa might be a little more defensive. I think you're going to have to get creative and pull a rabbit out of a hat. But hey, Pacific has shown that they can do that on some occasions. So they'll have to get creative.
Yeah. What about Bustos in the middle? Maybe, I don't know. Like, I just feel like anything down the wide areas, just coming into the box. Mitchell, you can talk this up. You did the game. Like Camus and Espejo, the way they defended, I felt like Pacific could have played some Monday and they wouldn't have scored, mate. Like it just was just like headed out every time. It was just like the Twin Towers. Acosta had a great block in the first half. We should give him some love as well. But the way that team defended was just remarkable. No, I think one of the best, I know I saw it live, but one of the best defensive displays I've ever seen in CPL history that were that good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Nate Ingham even said that after the match. He's like, look at their attacking players, look at our defending players. How many crosses is it going to take for them to win one in like a dangerous area after the match? And like you said, that's how it felt. Again, they just took away what Pacific do when they're at their very best. And Pacific didn't have enough ideas otherwise. And that's what a good defensive team does. It takes away the strongest points of the other team. And they really just limited anything Pacific did. And that's, again, the concern going into this second leg is how can Pacific come up with something dangerous enough to get through that and to beat that, while at the same time, protecting the, 2 moments a match that Ottawa can go the other way and will probably score on one of them. So it's a very, very tricky situation for them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A difficult one. You mentioned Nate Ingham. Let's go back to Starlight Stadium. Here's my chat with the goalkeeper who had a magnificent day, Nate Ingham, here on Saturday.
You had to weather the storm today. They had a lot of possession in that second half, but what does it say about the character of this group that you dug deep and able to get those 2 goals?
Yeah, it's all about character. This locker room, on the pitch, but certainly off it, every single guy's got personality, and you see it on the pitch. See a guy like Verhoeven come on and show it. See a guy like Bahus come on and show it. It's fun to play with them, and I think we did our job. We weathered the storm a little bit. Most shots were from outside and kept them like crosses outside. We had it under control.
Yeah, let's get into that. Control is a great word. Watching the game, I thought Espejo and Camus were absolutely marvellous. You've got a front row ticket to those two, in front of you, Costa too, but how good defensively was the entire group tonight?
The whole group's great. They're absolute studs. Camus, Miguel, Drew, Diego, Max, everyone that comes in does the job. It's something that our coach talked to us early in the year. It's about enjoying defending, enjoying suffering a bit, and I never heard it put that way. But the group's bought into it. There's moments you defend. Why not enjoy defending? And then when we get out and go, and we love that too.
The last time I heard someone talk about enjoy defending, enjoy suffering, Diego Simeone. That's who I heard that from. AGR, back me up on this. It's like watching them. I heard all those guys used to talk about that. You talk about the Uruguayan boys, Jimenez and Godin, and Gabby and all those Koke. They all talk about that all the time. It's the athletic way, no?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest thing from watching Atletico Ottawa, especially live. Like, they love defending. Like, every time they make a big tackle, you may as well have scored a goal or, had a great chance rattle off the post. Like when Miguel Acosta made that tackle, like you felt everyone on their team just get a lift of energy. So yeah, you do have to love defending. It's not fun. It's probably leaves some turf burns and some bruises and some bumps. And, it's probably not a fun plane ride to be back with them with all the ailments that they have to deal with. But when it turns out the way it did, it's so majestic to watch. It's hard to describe a team that's so defensively in sync. It's something to behold. And obviously they've got that bought in, and it showed on Saturday. Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. I keep forgetting the days as well, buddy. Don't worry. We've all been traveling a lot. Mitchell, before I hear from Carlos Gonzalez and we get some more stickers, I was asked today on Ottawa radio about the stylistic of Ottawa and why they're, disliked across the league by other managers and other teams. My answer to that was, if that's your team, you just love it. No, like you love it anyway. But is there also something to be said that because they've come so far from, let's just use it, worst to first, that we're almost all open to the style? For like, if this was 3 years into their plan under Carlos Gonzalez and say they'd won 2 Shields in a row doing this, I think by the 3rd or 4th year we might be like, guys, can you get a bit of playmakers and start opening it up a little bit? Like, you know what I mean? But right now it comes from how far they've come very quickly. No, is that fair, Mitch?
I think so. I mean, at the same time, they did score a bicycle kick goal from the top of the box. They've scored some Olympicos. Like, there's been some tremendous moments from them of individual skill as well. So it's not like this is the most, again, boring teams usually don't score Puskas nominees. But I do think that there is something about that there may be a little bit more of a darling right now because they've come so far in 1 year, and it might get more and more annoying. And if you're obviously a team of different, you don't support Atletico Ottawa and you're watching this, it is so frustrating because you really feel like your team is dominating. And Ottawa, they'll bristle at that. They'll be like, this is our plan. We want to have Pacific have all the ball and come in and get comfortable. And they're waiting for them to make those 1 or 2 moments of mistakes that they know they will eventually. And maybe that's why they celebrate every one of those defensive moments, because the more they can frustrate these teams, the more they have those, they know that they're going to get that chance where someone's going to misplay a pass. Someone's going to, Callum Irving's going to get too excited and run out of his net. Like those are the moments they're waiting for. So yeah, to answer your question, I think, obviously probably if they keep doing this, it's going to get more and more frustrating for everyone. But at the moment, it's an incredible story. So we'll keep riding with it.
Yeah, great point by you. They do have the Puskas nominee, I guess, hopeful nominee, scored by the same player who no one's talking about. Again, who scored again, Charlie. I mean, Baloo, right? Like they still have this maverick at the top of the pitch who can score a goal like that. We're not talking about how wonderful a performance this is on the weekend. If Baloo doesn't score, they're probably not going to score a second if Baloo doesn't score the first, right? Without that moment of brilliance from Bassett and the finish from Baloo, this is a 0-0 game, right? So, they still have a lot of credit, and Carlos Gonzalez has got a lot of credit. It is not just a defensive display. They've got the best out of the maverick here, Baloo Tabla, at the top of the pitch all season, Charlie.
That's exactly the thing. He's a difference maker. Ollie Bassett's a difference maker. And the way that they play, yes, it's defensive in some ways, and they will absorb pressure. They'll let the other team have the ball. But it's not just like, oh, they're going to park the bus, and then if they win the ball, they'll hoof it downfield, and maybe one day they'll get a set piece. Maybe they'll score. They're not Burnley. Like, they have talent up front. They're not Burnley. They have talent up front. And clearly they brought in players like Baloo Tabla on purpose, knowing that, this was part of the plan, that they were going to need a player who can strike in transition like that. Malcolm Shaw and Brian Wright are the same, or have those sorts of skills as well, to hit in transition, that bit of individual skill that puts them, sets them apart in many ways. It was always part of the plan, I think, heading into this year, that yes, they were going to build that very strong defensive foundation, and then they were going to have the individual quality up front to turn, that solidity into attack, into goals, into Puskás candidates, right? And it's those kinds of difference makers that are the reason that they're, that they won the regular season title and that they're in pole position to get into the CPL final. It's because they've got that base, and that's kind of what allows the talented players further forward to be themselves and to, express themselves and play what the football they want to.
Yeah, well, probably the one thing they have in common is Burnley had the twin towers of Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. These guys have got Camus and Espejo as their twin towers, just in a different position. That's the only thing they have in common. With more on this, let's go back and get some reaction from their head coach, Carlos Gonzalez.
We'll get to you punishing them in a second. You're right. It's your club's first ever victory here. Open up your mind a little bit and let me know what you genuinely think here. When in the second half, when they're putting a lot of pressure on, at that point, are you thinking 0-0's fine at this point?
No.
Okay.
No, because every time they are near to score us, they are a little bit more open, and I felt that in those were the moments that were going to appear through the game, and we will have our chances to create more clear situations. So I think that we managed really well. We were capable to suffer in certain moments and maintain the competitiveness of the team. And I think that this is one of the key points throughout the season, that we are having tough moments in the games, but the team is still competing and we're maintaining the results.
It's a great point. You talk about suffer. Drew Becky said you've learned to suffer and embrace it. Carl Haworth told me that they actually don't even feel like they're suffering at that point. They feel so comfortable now in the setup that you brought them. But how good were Espejo and Camus today? I thought they were marvellous.
Yeah, I think it was a great team performance, but it's true that Camus and Espejo, they've arrived a few months ago, and both, you can see that they are established in the 11, and they are doing a great job in a new league, in a new country. So I'm very proud of the job that they are doing. But also, all the team defensively, Drew, Max Tissot, Miguel Acosta, they are doing a great job. And also, I don't think it's only the job from the defender; it's a teamwork.
All right, Atletico Ottawa fans, you got like 3 minutes to give yourself a tagline in the chat. I want to hear what you're going to say. Atletico Ottawa, what's your tagline on your badge? Is it "you can have the ball, lads"? Is it comfortable not being uncomfortable? Whatever you want. Come up with a tagline while we get Mitchell's stickers. Mitchell's got a smile on his face. You got a better pack for us this time, mate? What do you got?
It's not about the pack. It is definitely not about the pack. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of keepers in here. We got Mohamed El Rubai.
Whole bunch of keepers.
Yeah.
Oh God.
How many do you have?
It's exactly what you need in a five-a-side. Elias Chair of Morocco.
Okay.
Another goalkeeper, Sergio Rochette of Uruguay.
Oh, God.
We've got.
He's a good keeper.
Yeah, he's a good keeper. At least we at least got a good keeper. Youngwon Kim of South Korea and Jorge Sanchez of Mexico. So not a lot of quality this week.
Mitchell might be done this week. AGR, what do you got?
It feels like Halloween over here. It's not much of a better. It's a bit of a horror show, to be honest. So,
Oh, no.
And I'd take a keeper off of Mitch. That's how bad it is. But we'll start with something cool, I guess. Doesn't matter. Gold Brazil 98. Something cool, I guess, for the album. But we got Chul Hong, defender.
Okay. Yeah.
Never have too many defenders. But Hee Chan Huang, not sure where he's at these days. He's at Forest, isn't he, after going from Wolves? So that's a decent little attacker.
Yeah.
One of the 18 players they signed this offseason, so it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
Luka Jovic, former Real Madrid man.
Yeah.
Not sure where he's kicking around these days. Might be in the Bundesliga, not completely sure. Then former wonder kid, Diego Lainez, still young. Still the Real Betis man. Our former Real Betis man, not sure where he's at these days either. So quite a vagabond pack is probably the way I'd put it. Quite
wow. All right. We'll try and put you 5-a-side together. We'll bring in Benedict as well. And Otter's tagline is to go to suffer is to know you're alive.
It's very existential.
Wow.
I suppose they do. They do have a Camus on their team, to be fair.
That's true. But, wow. Yeah.
A bit Albert, not Sergio.
Yeah. You want something that you're going to put on a tifo, guys. Like you might have 2 more games to go here. Like 2 more games in Ottawa, like for the season. Like, what are you putting on your tifo? That's what I mean. Answers on a postcard.
They put that on a tifo.
Take Mitch's comment from earlier saying boring doesn't have Puskas nominees. I thought that was a good one.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, they have been called boring already by a high-profile pundit this year. So there is some there is some reference there too.
I don't remember Benny saying that.
I would never.
No, it was a different guy with a beard. Yeah. So there you go. I think that's it, guys. Let's see. Have you got your 5-a-side teams? Charlie might win this week, Benedict. But have you got a 5-a-side team? What are you going to put up? What have you got?
Arter in the chat tells me that Motor is good, so I can start with Jakob Motor.
Yeah, is he playing in net? Oh no, Mitchell's got all those guys.
No goals in 5-a-side except for Mitch's team.
Yeah.
Oscar Duarte, Costa Rica.
Okay. Charlie's just like giving this like evil laugh at the moment. Like, I've got this.
I'm so ready.
I've got Eder Militao from Real Madrid.
Yeah. There you go.
A little West Ham love with Lucas Paqueta.
Okay. Some Brazilian.
Got to finish the Canadian, of course, with Kamal Miller. Very defensive
could
team.
Actually win the vote based on that.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah. You could actually win the vote based on that, but I get the feeling that like after winning back-to-back years, like you might be at a bit of a slump here.
Benedict fatigue. We're not voting for him.
Like Forge FC, start with 2 wins and end with a second.
You might get beat in the final in the 3rd
year.
year. Yeah. All right, Charlie. Let's see your all stars.
My turn. All right. So I also didn't pull a keeper. I'm just rolling with my entire first pack. I'm going to be anchored by Virgil.
Nice.
Virgil van Dijk, right at the base of my defense.
You're not getting past him.
Oh, nobody's getting past him.
Yeah.
He's going to play the ball out to my 2 fullback wingbacks, Polish Cafu and Shaberto Carlos.
Oh, sweet.
Matty Cash and Luke Shaw.
Love it.
Class.
Love it.
And then in the middle, I'm going to have Matthias Vicino and Ilkay Gundogan, who's going to hopefully score some goals for me. We'll see.
You might need a goal scorer there, but
I could do with a goal scorer. I didn't pull a goal scorer at all.
Okay,
but I'm just going to have the ball the entire game.
That's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
There you go. Thomas says, Benedict, you become mortal in the sticker world now. So, Let's go with the goalkeeper top 5 here from Mitchell. What do you got?
Oh, do we have to?
I have a feeling these ain't getting tweeted out this week because they're just stinkers.
We'll go with a goalkeeper because I have to because I don't have enough players otherwise. We'll go with Sergio Rochette in net. Back to Youngwon Kim and Jorge Sanchez.
Okay.
Obviously Pedri pulling the strings in front of them.
This, by the way.
Yeah, not terrible. And then up top, he's almost 2 meters tall. I know he's a keeper, but just for the headers, that sort of thing, we're going with Gregor Kobel. I kind of had to. So,
and
you're Burnley.
It was going well, and then he put a keeper up top.
There were not many other options. I'm not going to lie to you.
AGR, what are you going to finish on?
I mean, it's not much better. It's kind of, we'll call this team anti-Atletico Ottawa because there's just no defense here to be found within kilometers of the side. So anchoring my team is Piotr Zielinski, very quality player, I think, on the ball. I think that's good technically. Then our double pivot, very offensive. We got Gonzalo Juarez and Hee-Chan Huang, who's still at Wolves. I mixed up his transfer, so I got him in double number 10s, and then I got a two-man strike force just because I have no defender, so we're going all out on the attack. We got Fiorentina's Luka Jovic. That's where he is these days. Hard to track, I know. And then Boulaye Dia, who's at Salernia. I don't know how to say it. He's on loan from Villarreal. So decent little striker. So a lot of goals in my team, but defense may be a huge worry considering I don't have a center back, a fullback, nor a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I kind of like your team actually in the end. I didn't think it was that bad at that point. There you go. So we'll see. All right. Thomas asks, are we going on location live newsroom for the CPL finals? Watch this space. I think that could happen. Yeah, definitely could happen. We've got a number of guys, number of cameras. We got enough microphones. Yeah, let's get it done. Would Nathan Ingham make it into Keeper FC? Absolutely. We see Mitchell's team; it's terrible.
Yeah.
Nate would be.
He can play in midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
I just needed to revolt. Like, we had too many guys in their proper positions during the team of the week or during the team of the season last week. I needed to have some nonsense here.
Do you guys need more stickers for next week? Are we gonna go get? We're gonna get some more. Like, are you guys out, or we got some more for one more week?
One pack.
Charlie needs to. Charlie, crack that pack open right now. We're finishing this pack. Charlie's the winner this week. He's going to crack it open.
See if my team gets any better.
He's going to.
Striker.
He's going to crack it open, and one of these players is going to win the World Cup. You've heard it here first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be Ghana.
Could be
Richard
Ghana.
Afori.
Yeah.
No, maybe. Okay. Adrian Rabiot could totally win the World Cup. France.
Yeah.
I don't think
nicer guy.
I don't think the Al Bayt Stadium is going to win the World Cup.
No, it's going to host one.
Player.
Nor is the Al Thumama Stadium.
Two stadiums in the same pack.
But this guy could 100% win the World Cup, and I would just be thrilled if he did.
Okay.
Because I love Sergio Busquets.
There we go. Love that. What a way to finish. The best player, one of the best players ever to play his position. Who is not coming to a Canadian MLS team anytime soon, despite what you hear, the rumblings. I guess we'll finish on that bombshell. Gentlemen, I'll get you more stickers for next week. Great stuff, great analysis as ever. We appreciate everybody in the chat. And again, thank you for your big support of the Canadian Premier League. A really exciting week. Let's throw that schedule board up really quick and remind you again of the games that are to come. A doubleheader, of course, both games live on One Soccer. Sunday this week, not Saturday. That noise you're hearing is Mitchell ripping up his team and stickers in the background. He's disgusted and he's throwing them in the bin. Well, two teams will be in the bin on Sunday. That's right. We'll have two teams through to the final. Will it be Atletico Ottawa? Will it be Pacific with the Miracle? Will it be Forge or will it be Cavalry? Join us next Monday again to break it down and break open some sticker packs. In the meantime, if you missed it last week, we picked our top 10 goals of the season. Sit back and enjoy them. Have a good week, everybody. God bless.
Or perhaps the left foot of Timoteo. It is Timoteo. Oh my word! What a goal! Where's Timoteo? Pick that out! Fabulous free kick from Timoteo, and the Eddies have come from behind.
But it's Dos Santos who's still on, and Brett Levi's welcome back to the pitch. Dos Santos! What a strike!
Moment of brilliance. That's all they needed. And there it is.
Johnny Dos Santos, when Pacific needed a boost, scores another highlight reel goal. This league is a rocket factory. Johnny Dos Santos. Caught into the penalty area or just outside. Musi left boot. Oh, a strike. It's magic from Ali Musi. And almost certainly the end to Valor's playoff hopes. Musi, what a strike.
Wow. That's the only way to describe that. Wow, what a strike.
Rea tries to navigate through a forest of defense. dominated and controlled in the second half. It's a late strike from Rhea.
Sissoko back towards the corner flag. The speed from Chouanière. The cross looking for Borges. Now Casillas tracks that down. What a goal! Wilbins, wow!
Header Valor, and no need, no rush to move forward. Just a lot of lateral passing in Ottawa. Get to put the pressure on to try and break it up. Finally, Bassett comes over. Now Rhea back in front for Levi's. Advantage being played for Levi's. Nice move to the middle. Brent Levi's! What a hit! After 2 minutes of nearly nothing from Valor, Brent Levi's goes on a solo run up the pitch. Colin Ford stays with Rhea. Rhea deeper than the 18. It's a good cross. Debrian! A highlight reel finish and a front flip for Mateo. Drifts into no man's land, and that is a grown-up finish. Dumping at 100% velocity, but so is Johnny Dos Santos. Rhea's going to try and chip Irving. He's caught him out. It's in the back of the net. Sean Rhea. A moment of individual brilliance from Sean Rhea in transition. Dos Santos doesn't close down in time. Sean looks up once. Says, oh, there's some open goal here. Let's see what I can do.
West Timoteo with the cross into the box. And what a goal! Toby Warshevsky has found the equalizer in stoppage time. What a finish from the German striker.
Trek to the provincial capital to see the final of Moscow this season. Look at this from Ottawa! Are you kidding me? Baloo Tabla!
What a finish that was.
An overhead kick from outside the box, Jimmy. The audacity from Baloo. That is a statement goal very early in this match.